Hey, AJ here, and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade animal-style fries. And not only are we going to make some animal-style fries, they're going to be vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and delicious and easy enough for me to make, which means you can make it too. Let's get into making your very own In-N-Out style animal fries, but vegan. Hey, if you're new here, by the way, my name is AJ. I show people how to make your favorite foods, but make them vegan, usually gluten-free, very easy. And if you're into that sort of thing, maybe consider subscribing. You don't have to, but it really helps me and the channel out. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let's get into it. In-N-Out fries are classically, they're shoestring, they're covered with a couple slices of cheese, a Thousand Island sauce, and of course those classic caramelized onions. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna need is a few potatoes, russet potatoes. I'm gonna do 4 of them because I just have a feeling this is gonna be a hit because I am hand cutting these fries. Oh my goodness, I know. That sounds very daunting, but I do not have a mandolin. I feel like most people don't have mandolins, so I wanted to make sure that this recipe is something that everybody could do. So anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these into shoestring, very fine fries, and if you have a mandolin, feel free to use it to speed up your life. So we're gonna get 4 of these chopped up first, and then we're gonna throw them in a bowl of cold water. So let's get to chopping. All right, so we've got some chopped shoestring fries. You can see I did all 4. I committed to it. And it took me about 10-15 minutes or so, and they're mostly uniform in size. Some of them are obviously kind of uglier ducklings, but you know, you want something that looks kind of like this. Nice little shoestring fries. The thinner the better. That's gonna kind of mirror more that In-N-Out style. So next thing you want to do is get a big old bowl. You're gonna fill this with cold water, and then we're gonna throw all these potatoes in here so that we can get some of that starch off while we are preparing everything else that is going to go on our animal style fries. I'm also gonna preheat my oven to around 425, 450, and because I'm gonna bake these, but you could certainly fry them if you're experienced with a fryer. I just know a lot of people who happen to eat vegan and plant-based. They try to eat healthier, and so I thought baking these would be at least semi-healthier. Like, it's not a healthy food, but it's healthier, you know what I'm saying? So we've rough chopped about 2 onions. We're gonna throw them in a pan with just a little bit of oil on low, maybe medium low, and you're just gonna let them hang out there for like 15 minutes. And honestly, the longer, the better, because it allows the sugars to naturally break it down, and it becomes more of a jam and less of like a grilled onion. So we kind of want somewhere in between where it's got a little bit of that sweetness, it's soft, but it's also not completely burned or raw. All right, so we have our onions caramelizing over on the stove. They're just hanging out there. We've got our nice almost shoestring potatoes. They were hanging out on this paper towel with a baking sheet on it. So now they're pretty dry. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna season them really quickly just so they're not plain. And we also need to get this baking sheet empty. So we're gonna throw all of our shoestring potatoes, our fries, into this bowl. And then we're gonna season them real quick with just a little salt, chili powder, some garlic powder, some olive oil, and we're just gonna toss it. Now, if you don't like oil because, I don't know, you're watching your health, you just don't like the way it tastes, you could omit the oil. Just really make sure you're shaking it and moving it around a lot. I'm not super afraid of oil, only a little afraid. I have a healthy fear of oil, like you know, like being afraid of under your bed. It's like, it's probably fine, but I'm still not gonna look under there at 2 a.m. if I hear a noise. I mean, that looks pretty sweet, right? So, all right, so let's do a little bit of olive oil right over the top. You could do like the equivalent of like a tablespoon or 2. And you know, it's to taste. So we're gonna do some garlic powder, chili powder, and I'm gonna have exact measurements below if you're a measurements kind of guy, gal, or NB. Pepper right along the top, and just a little bit of salt because you're gonna salt it again right when it's fresh out the oven. So you could use a spoon or something to mix these. I'm just gonna use my hands, and we're just getting every little fry really coated in the oil. You don't want one super cooked up and the other one with no oil on it. And that's it. And you don't have to worry about seasoning them too much before they're cooked, because after you cook them, you can give them a little taste test, and if you want more, you can actually add it. That's one of the best times to add seasoning, right when they're hot out the oven or out the fryer, because the oil, the little bit of oil we use, is going to help it absorb. And even if you don't use oil, it'll still absorb a little bit better when it's warm and cooked up. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take these potatoes, throw them onto the pan. You kind of want them spaced out, so I actually might use 2. Yeah, I'm gonna use 2. All right, so I got my 2 baking sheets of fries ready to go. So I think I'm gonna cook them maybe one at a time, we'll see. So they're gonna go in the oven at about 425, 450 for 15-ish minutes. Keep an eye on them, test them, and then flip them, halfway through just to make sure they get cooked on both sides, or cook them on convection. Then we're gonna prepare our Thousand Island sauce and our cheese sauce to go on top of all of this, so that we timed it perfectly and it comes together to be the omega apex of animal style fries. Ooh, I didn't write that. I just made that up. Alrighty, so the first thing we're gonna make is some Thousand Island. I made some Thousand Island. You could buy, I guess, vegan Thousand Island. I don't know where it exists, but this was a pretty basic one. It was mayo. We did some ketchup, a little bit of hot sauce, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, onion powder, salt and pepper, of course, green relish, and I also threw in some fresh green onions that I just chopped in there. That's kind of optional, but I just thought it would make it cool. It looks pretty good. I think it's got that nice in and out orange that I like to see in my horseradish. I gave it a little taste test, and I think I'm gonna throw just a little bit more salt, a little bit more onion powder in there. So now that you've made your Thousand Island, we're gonna throw that in the fridge, let it chill, and then we're gonna start working on our cheese sauce. And really, there's kind of 2 ways you can do the cheese sauce. You can either just throw some vegan cheddar slices on there and, pray to the vegan cheese gods that it melts, or we can make a cheese sauce, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's real easy. All right, so for our purposes, we're not doing a whole serving of this cheese sauce because I think it's gross unless it's fresh. So we're gonna do about 1/2 a cup of this dairy-free milk. Any of them work. I'm using oat milk because that's what I have, but almond works good. I mean, it's all gonna work, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some Daiya cheese slices. Now these could be the cheese slices or it could be the block. And I'm gonna throw about the equivalent of 4 cheeses in here because it's gotta be mostly a cheese sauce, right? I'm gonna throw this on the stove and get it nice and melty. And hopefully, once this all comes together at the perfect apex, and we're gonna combine the fries, we're gonna throw some cheese sauce on it, we're gonna throw some Thousand Island, and then we're gonna top it off with those caramelized onions. So when next time I see you, it'll be time for a little taste test. All right, so we have our animal fries. We did it. Look at that thing. That is looking like legitimate, like a real animal made this. It looks awesome. We got the Thousand Island. I would probably, the cheese sauce is a little finicky. I don't know if I would do it again, but we'll taste it first and see. So I'm gonna have my beautiful, magical, wonderful fairy wife, wherever she is, she's probably floating around somewhere, come and have a taste test. Definitely not Instagramming. For sure not doing that. Hey, hottie hot.
Hi. Wow. They smell really good. The mayo smells really good.
Mmm. The Thousand Island.
Lovely. Looks like restaurant.
Because when you go to In-N-Out, they give you a fork with your animal fries.
It's messy.
Because it's a mess.
Yeah. I mean, the saltiness of the fries mixed with like the sweetness of the Thousand Island and the caramelized onions.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah? Does it taste like the In-N-Out?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10?
Give it a 9.5.
Oh shit, a 9. It was a 9 earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you for trying it. And thanks for increasing my grade. Cheesy. Thousand Islandy. I can taste the onions. I'm really glad I caramelized them. I know JD doesn't usually like super sweet onions, but I think it really makes them. And yeah, it gives me that fix of In-N-Out, which is great. Yeah, I think these are really good, and I hope my family, who is used to eating cow cheese and things like that, finds it as good as I do. So hopefully you give these a go. If you do, go ahead and tag me at HeyAJ Thanks so much for watching. If you're not done watching content, I have another video. I actually have dozens of other videos where you can learn how to make more delicious things. So if you want to check that out, that'll be at the end of the video. And make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you never miss another episode. I'll see you in the next one.